Hello, everybody. This is Will Martell, and welcome to the Manosphere. I had to do this video once again due to the fact that just recently on Facebook I ran across, and this is common knowledge to those that are listening, of a man named George Floyd who died at the hands of not only one police officer, but I believe the number was four. There was one standing off on the side. The man who committed the murder was in between two other cops while they had this unarmed black man who was restrained under a police vehicle. And I just wanted to do this video today to just really put it all into proper perspective here. I am going to call this like I see it. And what I witnessed on worldwide video, this video has been popping up on Facebook, Instagram, you name it. It is all over the place. It is all over the news that this was clearly a public lynching. I usually don't go out and do videos such as this or, share any political things on my channel, but I believe in stand for something or die for nothing. And you have to stand for something in this world. You have to stand for what's right. And what's right is the fact that this was just plain butchery. This was caught on video with witnesses, and the only thing the cop at this time had gotten was fired, along with the two or three other bozos that were with him. Okay, and the man, George Floyd, was clearly screaming for his life, while this officer had his knee on the back of this man's neck while he's under a freaking police car being choked the hell out. And, it just really floors me. It just really floors me how this type of behavior is accepted still. I can't really wrap my mind around it. I have been a world traveler. I have gone to places like London, and I lived in Kuwait for a while. And to me, I was treated the absolute best in these places. I didn't, have any incidents where I was looked upon for the color of my skin. And I'm a black man. I am a black man, and I will say that loud and I'm proud. Okay. And to me, it hasn't gotten any better in this country. And I'm just going to share something with you. When I was on the plane coming back to the United States, because my mom had gotten sick, and we didn't know what was happening then in terms of her health. So here I am back on the plane coming back to America, and when the pilot said, "We are now arriving in the United States of America," I was absolutely depressed, because here I am being in London and being in Kuwait and not looked at as a black man, but as a human being. And then I come back to the United States and it's the same old story. And I had just recently run across articles about how the one man, the one black man was jogging, and you had these guys just totally outright execute him while it's being filmed, on someone's camera phone. That man filming it on a camera phone had a choice to make. Either do what's right or stand there and let an innocent man die. It was the same case in this George Floyd situation. And from what I understand and the information that I gathered on this cop, which I'm not going to even mention his name because it's not worth it, and I am not going to be a guy to give him any more press than he's already gotten, because he doesn't deserve it. He deserves to be publicly executed, quite frankly, or the prosecution, if it's going to even go to court, should use it to the fullest extent of the law to make sure that this never happens again. But that's just wishful thinking, because it is going to happen again. So here it is. This gentleman, the cop, has done this sort of thing more than one time. I believe back in like 2007 or 2008, he had shot a 21-year-old black man that actually was minding his own business. And he shot this guy. He had a history of being just out of control. So why in the hell would they have a man such as this, or anybody like him, have to serve and protect us? I mean, it's totally asinine. And I'm just really trying to wrap my mind around what's going on. This marks the third death of an African American man in less than 3 weeks. This can't go on. And at some point, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're a brown man, whatever it is that you are, there is going to have to be a point where we're going to have to say no more of this crap, stand up and unite as people and fight against this thing. This is supposed to be the United States of America, but all I'm seeing is violence in the streets and black men being pretty much executed in plain sight, and nothing is being done about it, really. I mean, nothing. And you know what? These cops just got fired. Maybe they have something in the works that they're doing that the public doesn't know about yet, in terms of how they're going to handle this. And if this guy or these gentlemen, because there was more than one cop there, but this guy just executed it. I mean, and like I said, it was pretty much a public lynching. You see it on video. It's in plain sight. There is really nothing to discuss except for this man should be prosecuted. And anybody standing there watching this happen and watching this man die should have been actually, oh man, I don't know. I mean, I get so worked up about this, and I'm trying very hard to keep control. But there's so much hatred There's so much hatred in this world. It is absolutely unbelievable of how much hatred is in this world. And I am just wondering, because I haven't heard anything yet. And maybe I live under a rock or something like that, but I have not heard Mr. President come out and have an opinion about the riots or what's going on or what is his stand and his opinion on this entire thing. But, I already know what his opinion is and his stance on it, but I digress. I'm not going to even get into that. But I will say this. There are decent people out there. There are decent white people out there. And I ran across a video of this woman on a rant in her car that was totally upset about what had happened to that man, what had happened to George Floyd, Floyd. And she had watched the video and she said it totally made her sick. It made me sick to watch it. This man was clearly screaming for his life. He was screaming for his life, and the cop that had his knee on the back of his neck, he knew what the hell he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he knew full well what was going to happen if he applied pressure on the back of this man's neck. This man was not resisting in any way. And I am just disgusted with how some people had reacted to this thing when it was in plain sight that this cop intended on murdering this guy, and he knew that he would get away with it. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing of white privilege and all this stuff. I'm not going to get into that stuff, but I will say this though. It is absolutely disgusting that we live in a world where there is so much hatred. I mean, I could even get into this part of the conversation where, a lot of people ask me, they're like, well, why is it that the media only highlights when it's a black and white situation, and if it's not, a black on black thing, if it's not a situation where, let's say for example, gang rivalries and, black people killing each other. Okay. This has gone on a long time, and my stance on it is self-hatred. That's what it is. And we have been conditioned to think that way. Okay, let's go back a little bit and talk about roots, okay, from the 1970s, which I had happened to pick up. And, I was sitting and watching it with this young lady, and she had seen it a long time ago, and I seen it a long time ago, and I thought, okay, well, let's watch it. So over the period of a few weeks, we would watch one episode, and it would totally, the things that totally happened to the slaves was pretty much what I seen from how they did it in the 70s. I think there were a number of things they left out, but I still enjoyed watching this Roots from the 70s because I seen it not through, the eyes of some small kid. I think I was 7 years old when it came out. And I remember my grandmother and the family actually gathering around the TV to watch it. And, for me, I didn't understand at the time because I'm a 7-year old kid. I remembered some parts from it, but I watched it again, and I was like, this was damn good. They had a great cast, but really, I'm not gonna get into a rant about Roots or anything. But the bottom line was self-hatred was inflicted a long time ago when they had slaves, when they had what they called the house niggers that would live in a big house and would wear the best clothes and would basically be living the good life, so to speak. And then you had the field niggers. I'm sorry to be using the N word, but that's the only way I can express this. So you had the field niggers, right? So those were the people that was eating slop and crap and basically had to do their own gardening, and all that stuff. So you had a division there. Okay, so you had a division between the house help and the field help. Okay, so there was always a conflict there, so that just carried on throughout generations until we end up in the modern day where there was black on black crime. And that's because it was self-hatred. But I'm not going to go into a rant about that particular thing. But the only thing that I want to say here is that with George Floyd's death happening and then the riots that are now breaking out, this is almost mirrored, okay, to the whole Rodney King beating. Okay, I don't care if Rodney King was drunk. At the time, it was videotaped, and clearly 5 cops were kicking the crap out of Rodney King. And then it's like they end up getting off and people wonder why the riots were happening. Okay, they were wondering why the riots were happening because people were fed up. It is still like that right now. The reason that these riots are kicking off is because people are sick and tired. They are sick and tired of seeing their own executed like right in front of their eyes. This is no better than the Ku Klux Klan going after a black man and hanging him for sport. And I'm just shooting straight from the hip here. This type of thing has to stop. And at some point, it has to end. I mean, what year are we living in right now? What year? Okay, is it 1955? Is it 1965, 68? Or are we living in 2020? I mean, when you really, really look at it, it's like change is not going to happen unless we stand up. Everybody has to start standing up. Okay. Okay, guys. So what I'm saying is you have to stand for something or die for nothing. Okay. And I am not in any way condoning the looting and the violence and stuff like that is going on currently over in Minneapolis. I am not condoning that in any way, but there is rage. There is rage going there and going on there, and it's just like it's reminiscing of the LA riots that happened back in the 90s. I mean, where I think it was 92, where Rodney King was clearly beaten up, by five cops. And yes, beaten up by five cops very, very seriously, almost, to the point where he could have died. But those cops got off and the riots kicked off. But the only thing I didn't condone was all of the damn looting. There's no reason, at all, to just, steal crap, just because you think you can. No, this man, George Floyd, just had his life taken. Just had his life taken. That man was on the ground like some sort of animal, taking his very last breath. And I don't care. I do not give a damn whether or not he was in a store trying to pass a phony dollar, or there was forgery going on and things like that, for him to buy food. Hey, okay, listen, guys, the bottom line is this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. We need to stand up and say no damn more. My parting words on this entire rant is basically live for something or die for nothing. And if you don't stand up for anything, you will fall for anything. So I'm done with my rant, and this is Will Martell saying so long. And remember, everybody, every day above ground is a good day. Stay safe and keep fighting the good fight. Deuces.